Good evening, Leonauts. How are you this early morning? Today is a day. We got a new rocket launching. Sorry, I'm playing with the volume. I think I have my gain too much. Maybe not enough. Okay. So, and I gotta turn down my volume. All right. There we go. So yeah, today's the day. We got a lot of going on, as you can see above my head. Vulcan Centaur 1. This is the first rocket that launches, it's ULA's first rocket, or a new rocket to launch. It's its first launch. It is carrying Astrobotics, Peregrine lunar lander, and yeah, Astrobotics is actually a local company to where I live, and I was excited. I even tried applying with them. Got shot down. So anyway, but today we're gonna be we're gonna go to the studio. We're gonna be starting to design, keeping track of when the video feed starts, and roughly, I don't know, probably about 15 minutes, we'll switch over to the other screen and we will get going. So today, and I've already got the everything that we need to get scaled. The Vulcan Centaur rocket has an 18-foot diameter. It's 202 foot tall. Its solid rocket boosters are 63-inch diameter and roughly 71.8 feet tall. So these are the scaled numbers that I quickly did this afternoon with trying to with scaling. So we got that. I'm gonna create that in a submodel. Move this over. So we got to figure out a almost 10 round. So, and I'm extremely tired right now. So launch is supposed to happen around it's supposed to happen at 2:18 this morning. I started the stream a little early. I already got one like. Well, thank you. Got one stream. As you can tell, I'm all disoriented. I've been fighting a cold this entire week. I mean, my face is still beet red, so, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity to do some stuff. So what we're going to see about doing, we need a 9.5 foot or 9 round. So switch over to the gray. Light bluish gray. So I've got some stuff to do with my volume. New mic, just playing around with it. So and for whatever reason, my music playlist is coming on the wrong speaker. I don't know what's going on with that. Should be hearing it in my ear, and I'm not. Oh, I think I bumped it. And I don't think I can change settings in midstream. Well, we're gonna find out. Audio. Eddie Classic. Uh-oh. Okay. So I can hear myself through the headphones, but I can't hear the music. So yeah. And it's playing. So hopefully you guys aren't getting reverb. Audio 2. Audio input. Nope. That's me. Yeah. I don't know. It worked. I bumped the mic and... Yeah. All right. I don't know why it keeps going. So if it does absolutely nothing. Oh boy. You got me. I don't know why that is. I think I'm going to have to shut it off. Oh well. All right. Yep. Let's pause. And see, messing around with my settings. I know this isn't the best stream, but it is what it is. Headphones. Okay. So now it should theoretically go through there we go. Perfect. Now everything's working. So no. The issue is that it's playing on my big speaker, hitting the mic, might be reverbing. That's all. I've been trying to get this audio. Yeah. I've been trying to get the audio to come in as crystal clear as possible, without any real issues. So, and all right, now that we got that fixed, we can get. Do we have it fixed? Yeah, a little bit. Desktop, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Hide. Music playlist, audio capture. That's all we need. So I'm still learning the software, using Prism Live Studio and OBS. So, all right, back to, so we want to do a 9 wide, which is what this is going to be. The question is if we want to do that, get some hinges. So, but yeah, the Vulcan Centaur has Blue Origin's new BE4 engines on it, and it was pretty much almost the main cause with the delay for this launch. It was supposed to go up, I believe, back in October, but because the engines were taking so long to certify and get through, not 100% sure what's going to happen. So I personally think that with it being a brand new rocket, never tested, other than the components being tested together on a stand, there might be a possibility we'll get some bigger fireworks and expect that tonight. But I've been looking forward to this, just like I said, because Astrobotics is a local company to me, and I've been waiting to see the lunar lander go land, do its mission on the moon, and see what happens. But it's got to make it into space first, so we'll see what happens. Got 15 minutes to ULA's live stream, which is in partnership with NASA. I'm just hoping YouTube isn't gonna slap me and say, hey, you got copyright material. So they shouldn't. I know everyday astronaut is streaming same time at 1:30. So I started a little bit early. Probably should have started at around 12:30, maybe even midnight. So function. Yeah, the weather here has been pretty nasty. A lot of snow, a lot of rain. We've been right in that middle section. We got a good half, almost 3/4 to an inch of snow, and then it was all gone by the evening. It just warmed up, started raining, and that's been it. Today, not sure exactly what the weather was like. I was sleeping most of the day, just couldn't stay up, and Yeah. But that's life issues. Everybody's got them. So, go here. So, to figure out diameter with the hinges, you're looking for that point. An easy way is to get how many sides you want, and then divide by 360, and that'll give you your angle. So really what you're doing, you're looking for that point right there, and each side is split. So we did 360 divided by 845. Could try it. So it's not what I wanted. Yep. Do 45. Turn to main, copy. Paste. Oh, went out. One. Go there. There. Hit. No, that's perfect. Case. And you could see we're a little bit bigger, but that's fine. We're actually a little bit smaller. Plus, once we get the skin, we actually might need to go smaller. So, we'll see. I don't expect much of anything to get done. It's early in the morning. We had 2 views so far, so actually fairly good. Got about 11 more minutes. All right, that's good. We'll dress this up. Now, I did with my SLS. Next. Okay. Creating the submold. Hide. Make sure I didn't pick any of that up. Okay. So the next step would be to do brackets. So modify bracket. That's brick. Brick modified. And these guys there. And then we're just testing it out. So then we're gonna get a plate with 3, and then a slope curve. Here. Just checking. Well, my chat wasn't there, but Logan, he's part of my log. He goes, "Why are we awake?" Fortunately, I did not catch it. Uh, well, Logan, if you're still watching on, we are waiting for the Vulcan Centaur upper rocket to go to launch. So this is again new type. It's a brand new rocket, never flown. It's their first mission, and it is carrying the Peregrine lunar lander from Astrobotics. So, okay, so you can see this isn't going to work. What we can do, we're going to do this one. Oh, that needs to go there. That goes there. This needs here. There. That one there, here. And it should be good all the way around. And that's really the biggest thing with designing. You just gotta find a good technique that will work for you. It's not, will it work for everybody? It's just, will it work? And the smallest little thing that you don't think would work will most likely work. So and then we need bracket. Yeah, we're gonna do a 2x2 bracket, and I'm going to turn music down just a little bit. I feel like I'm being yelled at. Here, and let's see. It's not entirely there. Let me try rail. See some. Nope. How about a plate? So, well, hello to all of you guys watching. Feel free to chat. Hey, logo. See, you caught back on. So, tad echoey. Yeah, sorry. Let me try lowering the gain just a tiny bit. I also gotta go on my settings. Chat select. Nope, that's not it. And for whatever. Oh, that's why it's not working. Okay. My browser extensions got turned off. There we go. Now it should. Trigger. There we go. Yep. Clear all. All right. Leave that up. There we go. All right. So there's that. Yeah, on my chat, I go through different. I don't just do YouTube chat. I do go through Stream Ninja, and it has a little beep when somebody streams, and I was just like, well, I guess it's not working because you keep on talking, so, and I'm not getting it a beep, and it was under a bunch of different things. So I'm looking for audio capture filters, and just do that, see what happens. Yeah, I don't know if I think they were working. So I don't know. Well, maybe the equalizer, expander, limiter. Maybe it's limiter. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I still sound echoey. It could be a I'm too close to the mic. I'm trying to figure out distance. My mic boom arm is going to get changed here in a couple weeks, so it's still so it's just a temporary for right now. And I mean, things always change till you get the settings just right. So it's just like being in doing Lego. So, and 3 concurrent. So if I'm a little echoey, sorry about that. I still got settings to do. So, but on to this again. So let's see if we got gaps going on right here. Not 100% digging that. So, and it's even to say that a 1 to 7 scale might not work. If I can't figure out how to get the cylinder. So, and so we're going to go back in, take all this out, make it even smaller. Oh, ULA just started their stream, and I can do this. Theater mode, full screen. There we go. And like I said, about 2 o'clock, we'll switch over to have another screen so we can watch it together. Just won't be any volume, I don't think. Yeah. So we'll see if I get the volume to go. So hopefully we'll get that. That's that. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
This is a live view of United Launch Alliance's new Vulcan rocket on Launch Pad 41 at nearby Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. It will launch a spacecraft that will land on the moon, making it one of the first lunar landings for the U.S. since the final Apollo mission over 50 years ago. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Space Coast of Florida. I'm NASA's Megan Cruz, and you are watching the first launch of NASA's CLIPS initiative. CLIPS is short for Commercial Lunar Payload Services, a model in which NASA contracts space on commercial missions to send science and technology to the moon.
The Lego Space Wave, honestly,
will help us prepare for the first
that,
and first person of color to
we
land
gotta,
on the lunar surface.
there we go.
NASA's Artemis program.
The Lego Wave Space Wave that's going on right now, it's all Lego City stuff. I mean, most of the historical stuff that I'm into, like designing a Vulcan Centaur rocket at scale and things like that, that's all Technic. And I really don't care for Technic. It doesn't look exactly right to me, because I know they brought out the Mars rover. There's a couple other kits with Technic that's going on. And most of it's all like city space stuff, and that I just don't care for it too much. Just for the simple reason that
Thanks, Megan. And
it looks like Mega Blocks in my mind.
Engineer and program management leader at
So,
United Launch Alliance. I'm joining you from the Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral.
now if they bring out another couple sets like how the Saturn V kit was,
right now, the Vulcan booster
or
our upper stage, our fuel,
buildings or some space related, yeah, I'll be all in for it, as long as it's not Technic. I think they're copping out. Lego's copping out with just doing things in Technic, and then they are promoting their city space stuff.
In about 15 minutes.
So
At the moment, our weather looks good with just a 15%
I was not
probability
thrilled.
of violation.
I was not thrilled
Providing
with
that
their
our
lineup
window
this
is
year.
Available this morning.
Uh,
Now I'll send it back to you, Megan.
Thank you, Amanda. It's great to hear that 85% go for tonight.
So,
Now let's take a closer look at the Peregrine 1 spacecraft. It's about 6.2 feet tall and
You know what, I'm
6.2
wondering.
feet wide, made mostly of aluminum and carbon fiber. The 4 landing legs have a honeycomb design on the inside to absorb Peregrine's touchdown on the lunar surface. The
If,
solar panel is mounted to the top of the spacecraft. The payload decks at the center will carry 20 payloads from 7.
yeah, I mean,
And finally,
it's interesting,
one
especially if they're new
rocket
parts and
rocket.
everything.
Our broadcast on NASA TV today will cover
So,
Peregrine separation around 3:09 a.m. Eastern Time, followed by acquisition of signals shortly after.
I don't know.
The company that built Peregrine, here's Astrobotic.
I haven't really been looking honestly into it. I saw what I saw late last year. But again, I gotta see what's going on. What I need. Now, there was a set, non-space related, that I saw that came out. Logan, I don't know if you saw it on the Lug Discord, but it was the giraffe and the pink flamingo. And I was shocked and stunned. And it was a 3-in-1 set where you can do either a lion, 2 gazelles, or the flamingo with the giraffe. And I was just like, I would buy that kit 3 times over just to get all 3 of those.
And only a handful of countries have ever
So,
successfully landed on the lunar surface.
I wonder, do we still...
the American flag to the moon again with Peregrine,
Sorry,
but also to start regular commercial lunar deliveries to the moon's surface. Now, let's hear a little more from
All right,
John Thornton.
I gotta look at my photos.
To make space accessible to the world. What that means to us is making it possible for space agencies and commercial organizations and ultimately
Wanted to see if I actually got photos of the Peregrine when I visited Astrobotics.
Go to the surface of the moon. Our first one is about to launch, and our second one flies in 2024. Astrobotic already has a wide array of contracts from rovers and landers, and now the beginnings of power systems that can be deployed on the surface of the moon. So we are not only thinking about lunar delivery, we're thinking about the next step.
I honestly did not take any photos when I was there.
Provide sustaining power at the poles of the moon. These are all of the pieces that
I should have.
Infrastructure that we need to take our next step to make the moon a place that we can sustain, live, and have astronauts.
Thought I might have got one photo in there.
One day, use the resources of the moon for in-space purposes, and perhaps eventually bring those resources back.
Bracket.
Pittsburgh startups and space startups in particular are not supposed to succeed. You're supposed to be in Florida, you're supposed to be in Houston, you're supposed to be in LA, but yet here we are in Pittsburgh with our very first spacecraft on the launch pad, ready to go. We have more than a dozen instruments flying on our very first mission from all over the world. 6 new nations will touch the surface of the moon with just our first.
You're talking about the Paragon lander.
It's done on a relative shoestring budget. This is a much more affordable mission.
But yeah, that's the factory right here in Pittsburgh.
Continue to strive toward that future of making space accessible to the world, and to see what's possible when you come together and overcome the biggest challenge of all, landing on the surface of the moon.
Astrobotic is among a pool of vendors that can bid on contracts for future NASA deliveries. This model will hopefully mean frequent, rapid, and affordable access to the moon.
Our moon. It seems so close in the night sky, but getting there is really hard. But what if there was a way to change that?
Otherwise,
only a few nations have successfully landed on the moon. As NASA sends astronauts back to the lunar surface, this time to stay, we will need to send science and technology instruments ahead of time.
Hopefully you guys are
the foundation for human
hearing the
to make
volume.
this happen, NASA is helping establish a commercial lunar economy. For the first time ever, there will be commercial delivery services to the moon. We are enabling American companies to send our payloads to the lunar surface for us. These delivery services will expand our capabilities for exploration, radically increasing the amount of science we can achieve. This high-risk, high-reward initiative will invest in and leverage the entrepreneurial spirit of American innovation to launch.
Yeah, the Paragon lander was right here in Pittsburgh. It was being built like from literally 5 minutes away from the David L. Convention Center downtown.
That scientists have long wanted to do on the lunar surface.
So,
and as this new industry matures, this commercial delivery service
with a lot of these streams right now, it's just basically propping up ULA or Astrobotics, but we'll see what's going on.
For NASA, as we've said, but this approach has risks.
And
to explain, I
don't think it's capturing the audio.
Mission Directorate. Good morning, Joel.
Hi, good morning, Megan.
Talk to me about why we
find
want
out.
commercial companies sending our science.
So,
why don't we send them ourselves?
go to YouTube
Well,
on my
NASA is
phone,
good at sending robotic science
look for
to the
myself.
solar system. But it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of time. And for our big push to do science and technology on the moon as part of Artemis, we wanted to take a new approach. We wanted to tap into the new ideas, the entrepreneurial spirit, and all the engineering innovation that these small companies and startup companies bring in the United States. We think they can help make the overall moon effort much better.
But isn't it risky
good.
for us to depend on others versus us doing
That's
it?
good.
You know, there is a different level of risk that we all had to understand and agree to when we started down
Yeah,
there.
still,
We understand how to do robotic science missions.
I'm still
But we
pickily,
know that these
so
companies have a lot of good, interesting ideas.
I don't know
By
why.
partnering with several different companies for different lunar
I gotta play
deliveries,
with my
we can see
audio.
all their individual strengths, their different technical approaches, but at the same time,
But-
we don't get the level of information and we don't have the level of control or direction that we're used to having at NASA. But we think that trade is really worth it.
But why is it so important for us to send science before we send astronauts? We didn't do that before with the Apollo program.
Well, it's been many decades since Apollo, and there were many, many unanswered
Yeah,
scientific
input
questions about the
capture.
moon. Not just about the moon itself, but how the moon is almost a time machine to look back to see what happened at Earth in the earliest ages of Earth. So, for example, we can do studies at the moon to try to determine When did all those last big meteor impacts take place? Because if we see them in the moon, they actually happened at the same time at Earth, maybe around the same time life was forming at Earth. You could also look at the moon, and we might be interested in using water ice that's at the south pole of the moon, we expect, for our astronauts in the future. But understanding how that ice got there, how that water got there in the first place, will help us understand how do we have water at Earth that we get to use today.
YouTube isn't saying anything to me, so should be all good.
About discovering on the moon.
Oh, well, there's just so many things. There have been scientific questions for decades that people, scientists in the United States, around the world, have been dying to get back to the surface of the moon to do. We've sent many probes in orbit around the moon, like Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, but they look at it from afar. This is going to be our first chance to go back and really make those measurements and really touch the surface and see what's really there.
Joel, thank you so much. I know we have ambitious goals here at NASA. I can't wait to see what we do.
Oh, thank you. This is an exciting day.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so let's head back over to ULA's Amanda Sterling for another update on the Vulcan rocket.
Well, Logan, you actually are
as we look forward to the launch of
really good at doing the
first
small,
Vulcan rocket. We're still holding T-7
techniques and
minutes as
everything. So,
60-minute hold.
yeah, I can imagine
Working
how much of a
at
pain that would have been.
The Vulcan booster is fueled to flight level with super chilled liquid oxygen and liquid methane. Soon, Centaur topping to flight levels will
Yeah,
begin,
but I don't know
and the
why
ULA
I'm
is
sounding
on
so
track for
echoey.
an on-time
So,
liftoff at 2:18
maybe too much
48
gain.
a.m. Eastern.
Just need to
We're about
do
5
that.
minutes away from space.
It could
launch
be a
Delta
bunch of different
45
things.
final weather
Threshold.
briefing. At the moment, our
My
weather
threshold
indicator
needs
is
to go
low good
down
through the
further.
45-minute launch window we have available this morning.
It could be the mic
The
itself.
excitement
I
is
don't
building
know.
here in ULA's Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center as we get closer to T0.
So,
Back to you, Megan.
all I can do is play around
We're
with it.
about 35 minutes away to the opening of today's launch window. Inside Vulcan's payload fairing is Astrobotic's Peregrine spacecraft. Astrobotic is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where folks there are laser focused on Peregrine right now. Right, Olivia?
That is definitely right, Megan. I'm checking in on our Peregrine lunar lander with our mission control team right now. You can see them on screen.
I'm trying to see if I met any of those guys.
Currently sitting in the top of ULA Vulcan's fairing. Our flight director is informed
They're
that
actually
we're
here in
looking
Pittsburgh
nominal, with temperatures currently
doing
at
this right now.
70
That's
70 degrees
quite funny.
Fahrenheit. We also monitor the environment.
I figured they'd be down in Florida.
We're sitting at a good 14.7 psi. Things are looking good for launch. The spacecraft is currently powered off, but will automatically power on once it separates from Vulcan's payload fairing. And here you can just see the faces of some of the engineers
But
who have worked
I
many
do
hours
have
on Peregrine to get it to
a
the
late
launch
night
pad.
snack. If
Standing
everything
or
goes
sitting-
successful,
Sitting in the middle left row is flight director.
I got
Alex
some
Romano. He is the
cosmic
lead
brownies.
for this launch.
Yeah.
And nearby is Alex
So,
Beethoven. He is currently providing us
that's gonna be a
updates
late
on
night
the
snack.
spacecraft status. And
If
Alex
everything
is confirming that the
goes
spacecraft is currently
smoothly.
nominal, temperatures and pressures are still as expected. As we continue to await launch, let's send it back to Megan at the host desk.
Thank you, Olivia. Again, Peregrine is flying with 20 payloads today. 5 of those are NASA's, and throughout the show, we will tell you about each one.
Hi,
Starting
Daily
first with
CFC.
the Linear Energy Transfer Spectrometer.
Oh, Astrobotics? Yeah, they're a new company that started up, I believe, early 2000. They've been working on the Peregrine lander for years now here in Pittsburgh. So
technology developed at CERN. It's similar to devices that we've flown on ISS and Artemis. The science we're expecting to get from the LETS detector.
I did go see it in person, Logan.
From deposited energy in silicon, which is what we measure with this detector, into a more biologically equivalent value that we can utilize for crew protection. One of the key pieces.
I'm actually just on YouTube. I'm just picking up the stream from YouTube.
Solar storm on the moon, while crew are not there. That would be ideal from the standpoint.
And if it's illegal, I'll probably get a copyright strike. So I don't think it is everyday astronauts streaming the same stream. So
Had a hand in today's launch, so here with me now is Nikki,
yeah, it could be.
Director of Technology.
I don't know.
Good morning. So
YouTube's not smacking me, so
Tell me how it invests in
because I'm keeping an eye on it. I might get a copy strike later. I don't know. We'll find out.
So if you're really going to create new disruptive technologies that change the world, you really have to work with a diverse group of individuals, and that means our small businesses,
I don't know.
businesses,
I personally don't
partners,
care.
other government
I get a copyright strike.
Astrobotic is a shining example of that. STMD has been working with them for well over a decade. We've awarded over 40 Small Business Innovation Research Awards, and our tipping points to develop technologies for the mission.
So
We'll see, and then.
money? Is that how to
But
We're partners.
this is also a NASA stream, and in all honesty, if they're partnering with NASA, it's to me it's one of those gray lines with
for example,
with
not only do we have
copyrights.
and different payloads aboard the mission, but actually parts of the lander itself, like our
especially when it comes to space, because a lot of NASA stuff is free. I wouldn't say free use, but free to use. As long as you talk to them and let them know you're using their stuff, and they have rules and regulations over all that stuff. When it comes to video streaming and whatnot, I'm not 100%
I really get goosebumps.
sure.
You know, the funny thing
Like I
is,
said,
if you ask me
it's
as a
streaming.
child, of
If I get a
course,
copyright strike, I know I just won't
happening,
stream live launches anymore. That's what it is. I did a live stream. I did a live stream.
Incredible.
Yeah, just about that again, that we're bringing in
with
as many as we can with us back to
You know what I think? I think that
whatchamacallit,
it's going to require
the
all of us and our
Starship
leadership
launch
to make it happen.
last year.
Thank you, Nikki. I really appreciate
So,
it here, and I hope you see a
with
beautiful
that,
day.
Me too. Let's go.
All right, we're just about
I didn't get a
to
copyright strike then,
under 30 minutes to the
and I streamed it right off of
45 launch window. After Peregrine 1 today, Astrobotic will
X's
deliver
or
another
Twitter's
payload
website.
for Viper
So
rover later this year.
yeah, loads are streaming it. Some of I know
Right now, teams
Lab
across
Padre
NASA are
or
busy
a
working
couple
on
of all the
Viper
main guys,
and
they're all
other
streaming it.
systems
So
delivery.
in all
Viper is
honesty,
short for volatiles investigating
like I
the
said, if
solar
I do
constellation
get
Rover.
one,
But
then
what are volatiles, and why is NASA looking
So-
for them? Volatiles are substances that easily evaporate, and one of the most important volatiles
is-
NASA
okay,
is
you know what?
trying to map on the moon,
we're gonna switch
which is
back
water.
here.
Water is critical for deep space exploration.
I'm just happy
because
things
it
are working,
but
and
also turn it into oxygen for breathing.
I just wish my audio would stop reverbing. So
NASA has selected
some tells me it
Astrobotic
might
for
be my
Viper's
main
lunar
speaker
delivery
is still
to
getting through or
Eclipse,
something.
the commercial lunar payload
I gotta shut it
services
off every time I get on.
And when Viper gets
Or
to
it could
the
be a
moon,
setting.
It will search for ice on and under the lunar surface near the
let's
moon's
see.
south pole. About the size of a small car, it has a drill and 3 science instruments. Together, they will work to
We're gonna go
uncover
back to
how
here.
frozen water got on the moon in the first place and what has kept it preserved over
We still got
millions of years.
about a half hour
This
before
mission will
launches.
help NASA understand
So,
the
about 40
environment
minutes,
where we
actually.
plan to send astronauts
30
as
minutes.
part of its Artemis program, which will establish a long-term presence on the moon and eventually Mars.
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
robotic
Artemis
moon
in a
rover.
minute.
A drone, if you want to call it that.
Our next Artemis mission is Artemis 2,
So-
which will send 4 astronauts around the moon. And the work is already well underway on their ride, NASA's Space Launch System rocket. Right now, teams here at Kennedy are processing segments of the 2 side boosters. Each booster will stand about
let's see
17
here.
stories tall and burn approximately 6 tons of propellant
Doing
every
all this.
second,
Yeah, I
producing 3.6
uh,
million pounds of thrust.
Should be.
We continue to march towards today's 45-minute launch window that opens at 2:18 and 38 seconds Eastern Time. The ULA team remains in a planned hold and right now working no issues. As for the Peregrine spacecraft, let's get another check of it from Olivia with Astrobotic.
Thank you, Megan. As you may recall,
So,
we are currently
sorry,
only
I'm just
monitoring
listening to
the
them.
spacecraft's temperature and
Um,
pressure while it's
They're in
inside
a
the Vulcan
planned
rocket's
hold for
payload
right now,
module.
and
And we're
the window
taking over
opens
by
literally at
Stephen
2:18.
and
So,
Alex Van
and they
Hoven
said
will
they
be
got like a
joining us
2-hour
in the
window
very back row. He
for
is providing
launch.
us updates
So
on
anywhere
our
from that
Our mission is to confirm
from
the
2:18 to
space level
4:18,
alignment
that you're allowed to
and
launch.
ready for
If
launch.
something goes wrong, they can recycle and try again, probably about half hour, 45 minutes later. So
I'm sure you're all watching right now, and we thank you for your continued commitment to this mission and to lunar exploration. We really, really couldn't have done it without you. Now, as we sit tight for launch, we'll continue to monitor.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, with a lot of NASA's stuff, things are built by Boeing.
Now we'll learn about Nervous, near-infrared volatile
Built by
spectrometer
Boeing
from
and
NASA's Ames Research Center.
ULA, a lot of these space, it is copyright material. And if Boeing and whoever built it don't want it built, or their logo or branding or whatever in it, then they can, then it's a no. And that's the thing about copyright.
That tells us about the fine scale.
And that's what Lego's having issues. Honestly, I don't see why most companies would even say no.
Nervous combines all these,
especially it's Lego, you know.
Better understand the
honestly, I think it would be a privilege if Lego built one of my things, you know. If I was a company and Lego asked to build it.
At low temperatures, it's solid. At high temperatures, it's a vapor. Water is a good example of a lunar volatile. We believe water is manufactured in sunlit regions of the moon, either through solar wind or through micrometeoroid impacts, and then migrates to the poles of the moon where it's captured into dark, permanently shadowed craters. If there is water at the poles of the moon in substantial quantities, that might be of incredible importance and use to human exploration going forward.
Now, we still have 3 more NASA payloads to tell you about, flying on NASA's first commercial lunar payload service.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, there's several engineers that were on the James Webb Space Telescope, and they applied, or they tried doing that through Lego Ideas, and it's been shot down twice.
Will join us in just a few seconds.
And trust me, I'm one that I was really upset because it's a good model. Like, I would not almost change anything on it. Or I would even add to it, but it's Lego, you know? They're the ones who are picky on that type of thing. Keep hitting the,
Good morning. I'm Amanda Sterling, a program management leader and your host for ULA's live coverage of the inaugural Vulcan launch. I'm joining you from ULA's Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, they do. And then they pick really crappy ones.
Thanks for staying up late.
Exactly. Like when they pick the Twilight. Who wants the frickin'
Vulcan's certification flight
the house? And Twilight is legitimately over.
Full certification of the Vulcan.
Like, it was a thing, and then it wasn't a thing.
On board the Vulcan rocket today is Astrobotic's Peregrine commercial lunar lander on a mission to intercept the moon, and the Celestis Memorial spaceflight payload Enterprise, flying to deep space with the Centaur upper stage. Liftoff is scheduled for 2:18:38 a.m. Eastern, and we have a 45-minute launch window this morning. In addition to watching our webcast, you can also follow the live mission progress at ULA
sorry, Mr. Yeah, they may just ask me to take this down afterwards if we're really talking about copyright.
A 60-minute planned
and that's fine.
Planned holds in our launch count.
It sucks, but it's fine. We'll see what happens. Again, I'm not.
At this time,
I'm doing this now just because I can, and I got the time, and
we're excited to partner with NASA on
I'm awake,
broadcast.
And I got my
our coverage through end of mission.
My awesome Little Debbie's Cosmic Brownies with me if they do succeed, which I'm hoping they do. But again, I still have reserves that something might happen.
To ensure a reliable
and if Little Debbie's would love to sponsor me, I would love. I would eat Cosmic Brownies every time they launch.
Director Tom Burkholder and Vulcan Chief Engineer R.J. Sansom.
So RJ, can you discuss a little bit of the
Still having
design of Vulcan?
that issue.
Yeah, when we started the design of Vulcan,
Pretty
we were
massive gap
taking our
right
national
there.
security space customer and designing a launch system that would meet their needs. And we focused on being able to provide lift for the most difficult, stressing mission, which is a high energy mission. We designed a launch system that's
Change my
flexible.
grid
We have
to
the
a
ability to
fine.
add solid rocket boosters, take them off,
Come on.
to tailor the performance that we need for that particular customer's mission. We have a extremely capable
That's
upper
what I'm
stage
looking
Vulcan
for.
Centaur 5 that provides performance that exceeds all the capabilities that our customer needs. And in the end, we've got a launch system that exceeds all of our national security customers' requirements and enables us to provide performance for commercial customers or other customers that
Yeah,
meet their
I
needs
mean,
now and into the future.
the other thing that they could gag me on is if I'm playing the same audio,
We definitely saw that they were aligned with it as they,
which I was doing. They could gag me on that because I was playing the audio from the stream. But I was also talking in it, giving my, opinions and everything about copyright. So
From the beginning, we partnered
it could be. There's a lot of things that go into it, like I said, and usually when you are in this YouTube studio, they will say whether or not you're going to get copyright. Like my New Year's celebration, I thought I was definitely going to get a strike for that because I was showing literally 15 seconds of the ball dropping, and then I saw that pop up that I was on the verge of being flagged for copyright because I used the New York Times Square live feed. I wasn't playing any music or anything. I just wanted to watch the ball drop. And I counted down, and that was it. But they gave me a warning first.
That's great.
So,
and as we look at what this has meant to the market,
and as of right now,
fantastic.
Nothing's wrong. Nothing's going on. They do have a couple suggestions that I changed my bit rate to a slower.
We had a really capable
because
and as we looked at the commercial market and the focus on
I put my bit rate over 50,000 kilobytes, and they're saying you need to change that bit rate down to 6,800 kilobytes. So that's about the only thing that they're telling me right now.
The Kuiper contract and our Kuiper customer.
Yeah.
So
and the result of that was the largest launch contract ever. And so with that, Vulcan has positioned ULA to help support
and I keep it on there. It gives me the concurrent views, the chat rates, how many views I've had so far. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things.
Joined by ULA President and CEO Tori Bruno. Tori, thank you so much for joining us on this monumental day.
Tori Bruno's got one hell of a mustache going.
The whole ULA team has been. Can you talk a little bit about that came together?
Was not expecting that.
Build and now launch this rocket.
I am so proud of our people, and I think we had.
He's usually a clean-shaven guy. See him with the old,
like Atlas and Delta,
an old bar handle mustache like that. That's pretty funny.
That are earlier in their career, know the new tools, aren't sort of handcuffed by some of the conventions.
Yeah, my stash doesn't compare.
Really creative and innovative.
I haven't shaved. I need to get. I was thinking about shaving for the stream, but I was just like, just go in there full furred.
Most proud of about this vehicle.
I'm really proud of the fact that we still service the high energy marketplace.
Oh, that's too funny.
It's really important to our nation's security that no one else has an architecture that will do that, while at the same time breaking all the rules and having the dial-a-rocket architecture that gives it the flexibility to reach down into that LEO marketplace and be very competitive there as well.
Absolutely. So we're getting pretty close to liftoff now. How do you expect to feel watching the Vulcan rocket lift off?
I'm keeping track of it. We're still in the hold at T-7.
I got to tell you, I've done over.
So it is 2 o'clock.
They're all the same.
And I'm not going to get anything done
really
on
special
this,
because of what it means to our country, to our customers, and to the team that is.
Which is kind of funny.
Hard, including you, Agent Sterling.
I'm more interested in watching.
We'll let you get back to it so you can make sure you watch liftoff and.
Yeah, this isn't obviously going to work. I do gotta... I do want to see a couple things. That's a 9. That's literally a 9. I need to get L to a 10. Okay, so, well, they got a shot of the... I guess they're starting to get pumped and they're getting serious.
On board the Vulcan rocket today is Astrobotic's Peregrine commercial lunar lander. Peregrine is the first spacecraft in NASA's new CLIPS initiative to have American companies send its science experiments to the moon.
Astrobotic is a full-service lunar company.
How could you not watch in the prisons of the stash? That's true. That's true. I thought about doing a full handlebar mustache all the way down, all the way over. I just think I get too patchy in the middle.
The big thing that we're known for is our 2 lunar missions to go to the surface of the moon. Our first one is about to launch, and our second one flies in 2024. The Peregrine mission is important because it's among the first commercial missions to return to the surface of the moon. This is the dawn of a new era of affordable.
Yeah, I even tried. I tried to doing a bowler stash, the Charlie Chaplin stash, and no, I refused to walk outdoors with it, and there are very good reasons why I would not do that.
I've been dreaming about, and this first mission is just our first step to make space accessible to the world, and it certainly will not be our last.
What if I did that? Nope. See, that would make it too... So I'm wondering, would switching out that with...
Also riding atop today's Vulcan rocket is the Celestis Memorial Spaceflight payload. Let's learn more about this mission.
Celestis's Enterprise flight carries capsules
that, and then we put
DNA samples and greetings from Celestis's clients worldwide. The capsules are integrated into 2 carriers that are mounted to the forward adapter on ULA's Centaur upper stage. The carriers will remain affixed to ULA's Centaur as it travels into a heliocentric orbit around the Sun, where it will remain for eternity. The Enterprise flight is Celestis's first deep space mission.
Okay, well, what if we did this and did a bracket?
Flight control LC.
How bad is that? That's
Vulcan hydraulics to standby. Roger.
Perfect, actually. I hate to even toot my own horn. I don't know if this is an old technique or a new one, but
includes the American flag across the inner stage, as well as logos on the
I think I just figured out
Vulcan and Astrobotic.
A new technique for
this.
this.
The inaugural launch of the Vulcan rocket, the CERT-1 flight test marks ULA's 159th launch.
So that one.
Let's learn more about this innovative new rocket.
That one.
Designed by ULA's engineering team and built by our skilled technicians, the Vulcan rocket, once fully stacked, stands 202 feet and weighs nearly 1.5 million pounds fully fueled. Vulcan's first stage is built lightweight machine.
Now, I think either Logan, you, or the other gentleman was talking about saying it. These are kind of like advertised, and honestly, it is because they advertise to payload companies, and this is great representation of what they can do and what they're able to accomplish. So a lot of these advertisements that are out there that they play during these streams, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're just trying to get other customers to come in and launch satellites. I mean,
spacecraft are encapsulated inside a
and space travel is getting cheaper.
With production complete,
seems like every new rocket that goes up, it gets cheaper and cheaper.
In Cape Canaveral on ULA's rocket ship. Once in Florida, ULA's launch operations team begins a series of events.
Yeah, everybody wants clean shaved.
The process begins by
what I am shocked about this rocket here, and this is my biggest thing about it, is that, and they just showed them spray painting the body. Now, there are reasons why, and the big one is weight. Why they don't spray paint the bodies, because the paint actually, it's a whole weight management thing, and the paint actually adds X amount of pounds if you add it all up and everything, and that's why I'm kind of surprised to see a painted body. I think they might be just doing it just for this one, just because it's their first one. They might do it for the first couple, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the paint scheme and just go with a white, or they go with an orange or something, you know, the natural color of the rocket body.
Trackmobiles at the rear power the nearly 3 million pound
oh,
which also includes an
yeah, that's clean too.
Providing payload and rocket as well as a backup generator.
It's not entirely clean.
And other final preparations.
Oh, never mind. There we go. Did I get that right? No.
Maintain operational
There.
in the LCC.
There.
Go LOX 2.
Perfect.
LO2 at flight level. Roger. Terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint, anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold. RLM, verify redline monitor and event table.
Okay, we're going to switch over.
Verified.
As we approach the terminal count pole, let's check in on today's weather.
And of course,
the Space Launch Delta 45 forecast for this morning's launch is looking good. The probability of violating launch constraints is 15%.
Audio.
Ground winds are 15 to 20 knots out of the north.
Okay.
The temperature is 57 degrees Fahrenheit. The primary concern for launch is the thick cloud layers rule.
minus 11 minutes.
Got 11 minutes. And for those that don't know, the fog and the mist, that's just condensation.
We remain in the planned 60-minute hold as we
from the super cool fuel that they're using.
Launch conductor Dylan Rice will poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the count. 29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Vulcan vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Dylan Rice performs the final polling.
Prior to the status check. minus 10 minutes. Status check to proceed with terminal count, Vulcan systems, propulsion. Go. Hydraulics. Go. Pneumatics.
Go.
LNG. Go. LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
Gas. Go. Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground. Go. Facility.
Go.
RFFTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GC cubed.
Go.
Operation support.
Go.
COM.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. ALC. Verify.
We are go.
07 18 38 Zulu.
Verified.
Polling is complete and the team is go for launch. From T-minus 7 minutes until liftoff, you'll hear Dylan Rice and the team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes before launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the booster and Centaur, and arming the flight termination system. At T-minus 1 minute, the Range Operations Commander confirms the range is in a green condition for launch. At T-minus 25 seconds, you'll hear Go Vulcan, Go Centaur, Go Peregrine. This is the final status check of rocket and payload readiness. At T-minus 7 seconds, Rofi sparklers will ignite, followed a second later by initiation of the launch pad water deluge system. At T-minus 3 seconds, the main engines ignite. Then, after seeing Vulcan's first ever liftoff from Slick 41, you'll begin hearing flight commentator Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data. This is Vulcan Mission Control at T-minus 7 minutes and holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
Here we go.
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 7 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark. 6:55. Ground pyros enabled.
The countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch at 2:18:38 a.m. Eastern. After liftoff, ULA's Vulcan rocket will head east from Space Launch Complex 41. Here's a look at today's ascent.
Following final confirmation of rocket and payload readiness, 2 GEM 63XL solid rocket boosters and twin BE-4 engines produce more than 1.7 million pounds of thrust to
say
lift
they're
ULA's
not
Vulcan
showing
rocket away from Cape
rocket
Canaveral Space
boosters
Launch
in that.
Complex 41. Shortly after liftoff, the rocket begins a pitchover to attain the proper flight path while minimizing the dynamic pressure it experiences during flight. Vulcan then reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound. With the ability to add 2, 4, or 6 solid rocket boosters, or SRBs, Vulcan can be precisely configured to take any mission to space, from low Earth orbit to Pluto and beyond. These boosters augment the rocket's total thrust at liftoff, adding approximately 460,000 pounds of thrust per SRB. With their propellant expired approximately 90 seconds into ascent, the SRBs burn out, followed by jettison. Jettison time is variable, occurring between 100 and 150 seconds after liftoff, depending on mission requirements.
This
Vulcan
rocket only has the
then
2
activates
boosters
to
on
steer
it,
towards
so
a precise target in space. First stage flight continues as the rocket crosses the Kármán line, entering space. With the majority of propellant expended as Vulcan fights against the force of gravity, the BE-4 engines shut down, and the booster stage separates. With the rocket now weighing less than 10% of what it did at liftoff, dual RL-10C engines on ULA's Centaur upper stage ignite. Spacecraft are encapsulated inside a 5.4-meter diameter payload fairing, which provides a protective environment during ascent. Following Centaur engine ignition, the payload fairing is jettisoned. With the first burn complete, the Centaur engine shuts down for a coast phase. Centaur flies a short, medium, or long coast, which is determined by launch day. Further into flight, Centaur ignites for a second burn, powering the vehicle into a translunar injection orbit. Following the second main engine cutoff, ULA Centaur places Astrobotic's Peregrine lunar lander into a highly elliptical orbit, more than 220,000 miles above Earth, where it will intercept the Moon. Following delivery of the Peregrine spacecraft, Centaur comes alive for a third and final burn to reach a heliocentric orbit around the Sun. Centaur completes the CERT-1 mission by carrying Celestis' Memorial spaceflight payload into deep space. Known as the Enterprise flight, this mission includes 234 flight capsules containing cremated remains, DNA samples, and messages of greetings from clients worldwide on an endless journey in interplanetary space beyond the Earth-Moon system to orbit the Sun forever.
well, that explains that. There was actually controversy about whether human reigns should be on this flight, and it made it seem to be that we're putting human reigns on the moon. But if it's going into orbit, possibly to the sun, then there shouldn't be really too much going wrong with that.
$249.
But yeah.
FTS internal.
Oh, here we go. 2 minutes, 43 seconds.
238. 230.
CLO2 PLP started.
$159.
Vehicle internal.
T-minus 2
155.
minutes. The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and Eastern Range are go for launch. For those of you just joining, I'm Amanda Sterling, and I'm your host for today's live coverage of the inaugural Vulcan rocket launch. The team is not working any issues, and we're on track for an on-time liftoff at 2:18:38 a.m. Eastern Time.
FCS armed.
90 seconds.
$120. FCS count started. One minute.
T-minus 1 minute.
Range status.
Range green.
$50.
45.
Vulcan tanks at step 3.
40.
30.
BE4 start box, go.
Status check. Go Vulcan.
20.
Go Centaur.
Go Peregrine.
15.
Go.
10.
T-minus
10.
10, 9,
9.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
First United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket, launching a new era in spaceflight to the moon and beyond.
Oh, man.
2 good SRBs, hitting peak pressure on the SRBs. Everything looking good. And we've got pitch and yaw programs in, coming into normal rates for that event. We have good hydraulic pressure on both engines. Good chamber pressure on both engines, everything looking good. Coming up on 60 seconds into the flight, everything looking good. 2 good engines, 2 good
Excuse me.
SRBs. Body rates look good, nice and smooth. And we've hit our first throttle point on the BE4s, everything looking good. And we have passed through Mach 1, we are now supersonic, coming up on max Q. We've had max dynamic pressure, everything looking good, we're rolling off on the SRBs. And we have cutoff on the SRBs, coming up on jettison in approximately 30 seconds. $15 seconds to SRB jet, BE4s continue to operate nominally. Seeing expected PU activity on the booster mains. And we have separation of both SRBs. Everything looking good. DE4s continue to operate normally. Coming up on 2 minutes into the mission. We are now 17 miles in altitude.
We just heard confirmation of solid rocket booster jettison. We have about 3 minutes until we reach our next mission event, booster engine cutoff.
Wow.
We see booster
3 minutes.
correcting towards a nominal MR. Everything looking good. Both engines continue to burn normally.
That's a new one. Normally.
And we now weigh approximately half of our liftoff weight. Everything looking good. And we fired the power valve, activating the reaction control system. On the upper stage, pressures are rising. As expected, PE4 continues to operate normally.
Yeah, that's one of the neatest things I've ever seen.
Vehicles continue to fly down the center of the range track. Everything looking good.
I'm going to turn off their
33 miles
audio.
in altitude, 52 miles downrange, traveling at 4,000 miles per hour.
All right, Logan. Have a good night.
Continue to see excellent performance.
Head back over.
PE4s,
Get back
chamber
over.
pressure nice and smooth.
We got about 3 minutes. Yeah. That's how it goes. So
Vehicle steadily accelerating, a little over 2 Gs.
I'm actually really surprised that nothing significant
Nice and smooth operation.
didn't happen.
47 miles in altitude, 95 miles downrange at 5,500 miles per hour.
I mean, it's still...
Engines continue to burn normally. Everything looking good. And the vehicle now weighs 1/4 of its liftoff weight as we pass through the Kármán line. Next mark event we're looking for is boost base children
Sorry.
on the Centaur main engines.
My mousetrap, I believe, just caught a mouse.
Booster mains continue to operate normally. And we've begun boost phase chill. Housing temps are dropping as expected. Coming up to the end of boost phase, approximately 10 seconds to BECO. Throttle down in preparation for BECO.
Now, most of us in the space that know space, they finally put up the 3D.
Coming up on
This is what they needed like 2 minutes ago. Okay.
We have Vulcan Centaur separation. Everything looking good. Coming up on the Centaur phase. And experiencing a bit of data loss here. We've recovered the data. It's like Centaur engines are up and running normally, good steady state pressure, and we've just jettisoned the payload fairing. 2 good brake wires. Good steady state operating levels on the Centaur mains. 2 good engines. Gone to open loop control on Centaur.
I'm actually really surprised. ULA has gotten a little bit better at their...
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 5 minutes 57 seconds. We just heard flight commentator Rob Gannon confirm the successful completion of the early phase of today's flight, and all systems continue to operate nominally. Our next event, main engine cutoff, will occur in about 10 minutes. While we wait, I'm joined by Amanda Bicchetti, ULA Director of Vehicle Upgrades. Amanda, thank you so much for joining us, and I know it's still early, but congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, that's pretty much what it's going to be.
How did it feel to watch the Vulcan rocket lift off for the first time?
Oh, just absolutely amazing. I didn't expect it to be the way it was. It just, my heart is still pounding. It was excellent, and just, I'm so proud.
But I'm honestly really surprised
Absolutely. And developing a new rocket is an enormous endeavor, of which you were.
Couple things that surprised me is that
again, we're still early, but how
they actually had good cameras.
Feeling right now.
I feel like they have to be
They're
the same
finally
way, you know, smile ear to ear.
showing
I know
off
the team is
a little
at
bit.
all our sites, friends and family. They've been
I wish they
supporting
would have
us
had cameras
for
for
many years to
the
get to where we are.
jettison.
I'm sure they were jumping up
I'm
and
sure
down
they're
just
going to be
like
saving
they
that
did
and
when
releasing that.
How is the Vulcan
Probably in a
rocket
couple
going to change
weeks.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Vulcan is very much based on our heritage rockets.
Now it's really just
we brought in
getting
a lot of new innovation and capabilities that are going to allow
getting
us
Peregrine
to
out into the orbit
warfighters,
that it needs to go,
exploration, as well as connecting the world.
and then it's all of astrobotics after that.
Meaning we can use that vehicle to do anything we want.
Make sure the
allows
lander
for affordability for anybody who needs access to space.
touches down safely,
Absolutely.
does what it needs to do.
This is the first certification.
So, and
what are the
expected
next steps?
touchdown, I believe they said was in about 20 days. So January 28th, I believe.
Once that completed, we'll have about 2 months or so of post-flight data testing.
Let me
and
look
then at
that up
point,
real
we will
quick.
be certified by the U.S. Space Force, and we will be ready to fly all of their important payloads for them.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll let you get back and watch the next mission
Excellent.
events.
Congratulations again.
Thanks, you too.
Coming up on 500 seconds into the mission. Everything's looking good. Continuing to burn Centaur. Body rates right as expected. Steady acceleration, just under half a G. And we are now 235
They're
miles
saying
altitude, 836 miles
23
downrange, traveling at
of February, 23rd of February.
150 miles per hour.
So they're
Continue to see nominal performance from Centaur.
so anyway, I'll find that out for a different stream. We'll go back to this, and then we'll continue to watch. I want to wait until
Yeah, approaching the halfway
Centaur.
point. First burn of Centaur, everything looks good.
Peregrine separate, and then probably end up getting off. So,
We're now 1,000 miles downrange, traveling at 11,500 miles per hour.
did I do what I think I just did? No, I did not. Think. I thought I closed out of the screen, which would have cut my connection. So. Oh, speaking of that, I need to eat my cosmic brownie.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 10 minutes 7 seconds. Our next event, main engine cutoff, will occur in about 5 minutes. While we wait, I'm joined by Eric Monda, part of ULA's mission design team.
Okay.
Eric, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Amanda. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we're still pretty early in this flight today, but can you tell us how the data's looking so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to say that it was so exciting. I ran outside so I could watch this thing lift off, and that was so cool after so many years of development to watch this thing fly. That was fantastic.
Absolutely, I bet.
Yeah.
So what is the data showing us so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had a very quick look. Obviously, we're very early in the flight still. But I've taken a look at the SRB performance as well as the booster performance so far, and everything looks just spot on, just perfect. Fortunately, we've had a lot of these systems on Atlas and Delta for a long time, and so we've had a lot of flight data to anchor our models, and everything's lining up just like we would expect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So a lot of the audience has seen us switch from this live view of the launch from our rocket cam to this animated representation of the vehicle in space. Can you talk a little bit about why we make that switch and how this visual is populated?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we first lift off, we have a feed directly from the cameras that are on the rocket back to the launch site here. And so with that, we can get the video feed that we need in order to provide those images. As we get further downrange and we go over the horizon, we no longer have that direct link. And so we rely on NASA's TDRS system to send telemetry from the vehicle back down to us on the ground. in that telemetry data, we get information like position and attitude and velocity, and so we use that to drive the animations you see here.
Okay, so we're looking at real data, what's happening, it's just a graphic of it instead of the real thing.
That's exactly right, yes.
Awesome, that's really cool. So, you know, today we have, right now we're in the first of 3 Centaurs.
Well, if anybody's looking for
a little bit about
an
why
8-round cylinder design,
3 burns to complete our mission today.
Yeah, absolutely. So
there's a really good one. I think it'll work. Looks like it'll work.
Just to continue that burn from that point.
Unfortunately, it just won't work for me.
Be aligned with where we need to be in order to get.
So
what we do after we get to low Earth orbit is we shut.
I think I want to expand on this one a little bit.
To the right spot to do that, and then we light those engines up again.
And see what.
Do that and complete that burn. That will allow us to send the Astrobotic Peregrine lander
I can do with it.
So we shut those engines down again. We are ready to do that, and then start them up one more time in order to do the third burn. And that's what's going to take Celestis' Enterprise mission out to deep space. So let's talk a little bit about where these things happen. We're going to go ahead and shut down the main engines on the Centaur when we get about halfway across the Atlantic Ocean, and then we're going to coast the rest of the way across the Atlantic Ocean, across Africa, and go ahead and start the engines up again when we get to Madagascar, and that's where we'll do the second burn, and then we coast again until we get about to Papua New Guinea, and when we get about to over Papua New Guinea, that's where we'll go ahead and do that third and final burn.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of these key milestones that are ahead of us. What can everyone expect to see as the timeline of these mission events as they continue watching today?
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at the clock right now, looks like we've got about 2 minutes, a little over 2 minutes left here in the first burn of the upper stage. We're going to coast for about 30 minutes after that as we do that coast across the Atlantic Ocean and across Africa. The second burn will be about 4 minutes long, and then we'll have another coast for 30 minutes before we have a pretty short, like 20-second burn for the final burn. Once we've done that, then we've
that we're all same level.
Before we finally
it's good.
The stage and shut everything off, and then about 4 days later is when the Centaur will leave the Earth-Moon system and be off on its way to deep space.
Fill this for right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and thanks for joining us today. And we'll let you get back to
what we got
next events.
is on the twos. We're going to stick with the brackets.
PU system is steadily making the correction down to a nominal MR.
And then we're going to do modified brick. Do something like this. Then
1 minute.
Plate, 2x3 plate. And again, I'm just testing this.
Engines firing normally.
See if it would work. As you can see, the Centaur section is still going. We're now 15 minutes into flight. Seems like everything is going good so far. I'm still waiting for that stage separation. There's still a lot that could go wrong.
We are approaching the first main engine cutoff. Let's listen in.
Coming up on MECO 1. On to open loop control on MECO, we have cutoff. Both engines show normal shutdown signatures. We have settling established, 85% duty cycle. We are now in a 27-minute, 51-second coast duration to second burn of Centaur.
Okay.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 16 minutes and 20 seconds. We just heard flight commentator Rob Gannon confirm successful cutoff of the first main engine.
All the engines
they
just did a main engine cutoff.
Our next event, main engine start.
The next event that's going to be going on is in about
At this
27
time,
minutes for the second
NASA team
startup and
mission
burn.
coverage through the coast phase. We'll join you back in as we
So
approach the separation.
it's going to be a while.
Spacecraft. Over to you, Megan.
Thank you, Amanda.
It's going to be quite a while for
so far. If you're just
anything
joining us,
going on.
to
So
Space Coast of
let's see
Florida,
what
where we just witnessed
I
the
can do in
first
the
launch
meantime.
of NASA's
And
Eclipse initiative. It was a magnificent sight. Leaves me speechless, apparently.
It's early in the morning.
Really lighting up the night sky and
got caffeine. I'm not having a brownie until Peregrine
it's a new model in which NASA
successfully stages. That's where, if anything were to go wrong, I think that would be it.
For today's launch, NASA selected Astrobotic to deliver its 5 lunar instruments. This is the first mission for its Peregrine spacecraft. Today was also the first launch of ULA's new Vulcan rocket. Again, congrats. It lifted off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station.
That's what my thing is.
Our broadcast here on NASA TV will continue.
Because once it stages, it's all up to Astrobotics and the lander to get to the moon.
With me now is Sandra.
But I will say, Vulcan Centaur, that was an amazing launch. It went almost flawlessly. I wasn't expecting that. I honestly thought they were going to have a hiccup for a rocket that has never flown before. And it just goes to show you that there's different different procedures for everything. The way SpaceX versus what ULA, they make sure everything's certified, it works, and everything. And SpaceX and Starship, they tend to go learn as you go. They have a learn as you go philosophy. So if something doesn't work, it blows up.
Yeah, it is.
They change what they need to change, and they just fly again. So
why is that?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this program. It is a game-changing program for us. It really is leveraging industry in new ways, as you've probably seen. The whole aerospace industry has evolved over this last decade in amazing ways, and I think this is just yet one more step in doing so. So our commercial partners are actually delivering a service. They're delivering our payloads and other organizational payloads, whether it's other companies, whether it's international partners. Basically, anybody who wants to procure the service can deliver a payload to the moon using the CLIPS program.
And so there are 20 payloads flying on the Peregrine spacecraft right now. 5 of those are NASA's. Can you tell me a little bit about what they'll be studying once they get to the moon?
Yeah, so again, amazing service. So our payloads are going to be studying things, including understanding studying water, studying the volatiles or the.
So if this is under a 10,
the atmosphere,
it will be
the radiation environment to help inform us for the future when we have
what I need. Because
I'm excited to see
over here, got my scaling.
Launch here today.
I need to be an accurate 70 scale. It needs to be 9.79551.
All right, so Peregrine lands on the near side of the moon on February.
Anywhere, I'm going for anywhere in between a 9 stud round or a 10 stud round. In between will work.
Thanks, Megan. What a great day so far. So for those of you just tuning in, I wanted to reintroduce myself. I'm Olivia Chapla, Director of Marketing and Communications for Astrobotic. Astrobotic is a space company with our primary headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we've just watched our Peregrine lunar lander rocket into space aboard a United Launch Alliance
that's a 10
rocket. This Peregrine spacecraft's mission
We're
is to
right, I want to say right almost in between,
to the lunar
about
surface
half.
of 7 different countries.
I can go with that.
Nations have never reached the moon before. Our
Like
aim
that.
is to
That'll work.
autonomously land on the lunar surface a few weeks
Doesn't
from
look
now.
too
We're
bad.
taking the long way around, and we expect Peregrine to land on February 23rd, 2024. We've got all eyes on the Peregrine lander as it waits to separate from the Vulcan rocket in about 30 minutes. At that point, we will seek to establish communications with the lander. And now we'll take a more in-depth look at Peregrine's full journey to the moon.
Just out of curiosity. My curiosity.
Once ULA's Vulcan rocket
I wanna
launches,
do
we
one
will then
more.
know the exact day the Peregrine spacecraft will attempt a soft landing.
We know
on
this
the moon.
works.
The first
That actually
landing
looks really
attempt will
good
be anywhere from 10
for an 8
to
round.
60 days from launch. Because this is Peregrine's first ever trip to the moon, our team is not taking a direct path. Peregrine will first complete one Earth orbit so the team can get critical data on the spacecraft and test maneuvers before executing a very critical milestone, entering lunar orbit.
Hold out.
Peregrine will orbit the moon at 3 altitudes. The first orbit will last about 33 hours. Peregrine's second orbit can be up to 35 days. The spacecraft's third and final orbit around the moon will last 48 hours. Next up, Peregrine will attempt a soft landing on the lunar surface autonomously. The team will issue a landing sequence that will command the spacecraft to enter a descent orbit. About 15 kilometers from the lunar surface, an exciting powered descent begins. While we wait for the Peregrine spacecraft to separate from the Vulcan rocket and begin that exciting journey to the moon, I have Astrobotics founder and chief executive officer, John Thornton. Hi there, John. I understand you are currently at ULA, just a stone's throw from where I am now, and we both—
That's one thing they need to change is that bright white background. Do not like it.
Tell me, after waiting for this moment for years, how are you feeling?
It's a dream. This is the moment we've been waiting for 16 years, and I'm standing in mission control, and we just had a beautiful launch. Thank you, ULA. So excited. We are on our way to the moon.
I can tell you and everyone else are in a really, really excited buzz today for sure. So tell me, what else do you think is the most important thing about our Peregrine mission today?
So this is the beginning of the dawn of a new era for the surface of the moon and how we think about space. This is an opportunity for commercial payloads to fly to the surface of the moon on a regular, routine basis. That means our nation's scientists—
I think this is a guy that owns Astrobotics, so they have their own commentator asking the president
of that right now
different answers
on our journey to the surface of the moon. Our first mission carries 20 payloads from all over the world. 6 nations on board the mission will touch the surface of the moon for the very first time. It's a phenomenal, exciting mission to be a part of, and it's a real honor to be here today, and I could not imagine a better start to the mission.
That's true. And what do you have to say to the Astrobotic team and to all of the payload customers who made today's mission possible?
For 16 years, we've been pushing for this moment today. And along the way, we had a lot of hard challenges that we had to overcome, and a lot of people doubted us along the way. But our team and the people that supported us believed in the mission, and we created this beautiful moment that we're seeing today, working incredibly hard to make this possible. I can't thank the thousands of people between our team, our suppliers, our partners that have made this moment possible today. It's an unbelievable feat, and it is the culmination of all of everyone's effort coming together for this moment, believing in this possibility that a small company in Pittsburgh, of all places in this country, can lead America back to the surface of the moon.
Thank you, John. Well, I'll let you get back to the team that are in Florida with us as we wait for the Peregrine spacecraft to separate from Vulcan's rocket in about 30 to 40 minutes. For now, back to Megan.
Thanks, Olivia.
Oh, thank you.
Now, CLPS missions are an important step in returning to and staying on the moon. But these lunar landings that will help shape our future there are not without risks.
Landing on the moon is hard. We're going back. Under this Artemis program, we're going to be sending humans to the moon for the first time since Apollo. So ahead of humans, we want to get up as much science, exploration, and technology experiments as possible.
In the wrong button.
Starts facilitating
Hit and shift and not control.
The things we want to learn before we even send humans.
Get into submodel.
Stands for Commercial Lunar Payload Services,
Copy.
CLPS.
The services part is the key element. Ordinarily, when NASA delivers a payload to the surface of the moon, they do it with a commercial partner, but NASA controls the building of the vehicle. Now, we're buying the service of delivery of our lunar payloads to the surface of the moon.
It is a delivery service, akin to a delivery service that you'd have here on Earth.
NASA will provide payloads to a commercial company. They decide how to get it to the moon. They have to develop their own lander, but they also have to manage the entire end-to-end mission.
It's meant to provide affordable, rapid, frequent access to the lunar surface through American companies.
We're funding different companies.
We have commercial companies that are competing to win task orders to deliver our payloads to the surface of the moon.
I don't know. That's up to people to decide whether they want
Somebody has to do it first.
like the roundness or not. I personally think it's looks a little too boxy for me.
And so the lunar surface is just the next frontier.
So if you put
of the commercial
a
environment.
But we had to acknowledge up front, all the way through the highest levels of the agency leadership, that some of them will fail. These missions may not be as successful as a traditional NASA mission.
8-round plate in there.
Accepted the risk that going through this innovative approach with these commercial companies, that there could be some failures. Some of them are new companies. None of them have ever successfully landed on the surface of the moon. So they're going to learn lessons.
We need to give our vendors the opportunity to learn.
And so that'll help ultimately buy down our risk as these companies learn, okay, what does it take to actually build up the lunar lander, integrate payloads, get to the lunar surface and land safely?
They've been able to demonstrate that they have very, very good technical depth and the ability to design and execute missions. We're willing to take more shots on goal. We aren't risking human life.
What I'm looking at
if we're flying
is
missions at 1/10 of the cost of a
point,
NASA mission, and we fail 2 of them,
your 0 to 90 degree point at that arc along the radius.
This is still a very economical proposition.
And
it's a risk posture
compared to this, actually it's not that bad.
There's not a single one of these companies that's willing to bet their mission.
It's a little boxy for my taste, but it's compared to a round circle, it's not all that bad.
But the important thing to realize,
I just was curious. I wanted to see it.
And the rewards are a long-term
It was for bigger use possible down the road.
Frequently and rapidly.
We want science, so we can then put more of our resources on even more science.
Because
technology payloads.
Right now,
return on investment when we get
show you
Eclipse provides
not
tremendous
new.
benefit across the scientific and economic communities.
So there's a lot we'd like to learn about the moon to help human habitation and prepare us for missions to Mars and beyond.
So the moon is the first step.
And a lot has to happen before Peregrine lands safely on the moon. Astrobotics' Olivia Chapla shows how they tested the spacecraft here on Earth and what the team will do during its journey in space.
Peregrine has
and this is what I got
a journey
for
already and still has
like
a
70th
number of
scale
objectives to
SLS
complete
right
on
now.
its way to the moon. We've categorized these objectives into 5 stages.
And I was having issues coming up with
First, we built
trying to make the Orion capsule into something
based on our
to make it fit
the
in.
final spacecraft to send to the moon. Each iteration of Peregrine will
Snap
do
this.
rigorous testing
There
to
we go.
ensure it will survive the harsh conditions of launch and space environments. Phase 2 objectives
for my
will begin when
SLS.
the
So
spacecraft separates
you can
from
see
the
I did
rocket.
something
Once
similar
separated, Peregrine will power on
for
and
this.
establish communications with Earth. At this stage, we'll receive telemetry informing us of the
curious.
spacecraft's position, orientation, and general operational health. One of the first commands we send to the spacecraft will initiate thrusters to point Peregrine's solar panels at the sun to charge its battery. We are planning for all of these objectives to be completed today. Next, and off camera, our Phase 3 objectives begin. These objectives include trajectory adjustment maneuvers in space before lunar orbit insertion. After lunar insertion, Peregrine will complete 3 orbits around the moon. Then, the last phase of the mission begins, lunar landing and operations.
And for a closer look at landing, I'm joined now by Mike Hennessy, Educational Director
If it's similar or the same.
in Pittsburgh. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's spectacular to be here today.
Absolutely. We saw a launch, right?
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about Peregrine and the spacecraft we have you on, because you know a lot about Peregrine and this mission. Why is that?
Well, every day I've had a front row seat at Peregrine under construction. I work at the Moonshot Museum, and we share a wall of windows with Astrobotic. And better yet, I've seen kids with their faces
It's the
pressed
same.
against the glass,
Okay.
knowing they're going to grow up to become that next generation of makers that take us to the moon.
That's fantastic. And you also brought us some
So
parts
it's not a
here.
new
These are
technique, it's
different,
just
parts,
a
different
new
materials that
support
let the
structure, I
rest
guess
of
you
the
would call it,
installation, that's what goes around the
technique
spacecraft, right?
that would make
Right,
it
that's
work.
the thermal protective space blanket for the
Take it as you will.
And we have a number of different materials here. This is Astro Quartz. It's a woven ceramic fiber, very heat resistant. We've got aluminum, which is great for reflecting solar heat. And this is also aluminum. Glitters a little more like gold, but it's just aluminum that's been covered with a polymer called Kapton. And you can see it actually on our model here.
That's what I wanted to
Peregrine lander.
do.
Right here. This is
Yeah.
the multi-layer.
Yeah, we've got the
rocket.
multi-layer insulation, and that's wrapping these fuel tanks, kind of like cosmic baked potatoes.
And why do we need
And
all
this
these
capsule was no way
Well, the moon,
able to be
is
built.
a harsh environment.
I
And
did
it takes a lot of
use a
things to know how to
couple
land there. There's no
custom
atmosphere blanket
pieces
like we have on Earth. So we need a thermal space blanket to protect against wild temperatures.
that I created in
boiling hot
parts.
days,
Mainly
freezing
this
cold, several hundred degrees below zero, and
flat
our
face
engines are
bracket.
engineered to endure that.
Okay, so now we
That's
know how it will be
something
protected
Lego I
from
don't think will ever
landing.
do.
How
If
would
they
it-
did,
what's
then
the
this would be
technology you're using to make
buildable.
sure that it lands safely?
And
When you
it
say that the moon
not.
isn't the easiest place to land on.
Right, and that's my favorite part of the story because this robot is going to land
If
itself.
not, it's-
because we have about a 2.5 second signal.
And then
from the Earth to
you
the
turn
moon.
on collision.
It's like having a self-driving car.
It's
in
tight.
Another world. We have a full suite
Tight
of
in there.
sensors, gyroscopes,
See, I got
Doppler
a bunch of different
lidar,
collisions
star
in there.
trackers, and a really cool technology called terrain relative navigation.
So, I mean, this is my theory
About 9 miles
concept
out,
for the Orion.
will activate its camera.
If there's some new pieces that come out, this is why I keep my theories and my concept builds
Okay.
in a save file, just in case something later down the line does actually come up, a new part or new piece. Like say if Lego were to legitimately bring out a
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know
tile
that you're gonna
bracket
be delivering another
for
NASA
whatever
cable, so
reason,
another partnership
a
with
one-by-one
Lego.
tile bracket just like
Yeah,
that,
I think another great
then
example of how Clips is
that
bringing
would
together
be
entrepreneurship
amazing,
accelerating
and
the pace of science
then
and
we
taking
could
us out into the solar system.
Mike, thank you
legitimately
so much. Thank you for being here.
use that piece. And
All right, so the
I
astronautics team hopes
do
to
believe,
land on the near side of the moon on February 23rd.
technically, if I really wanted to create this piece here, I could just shave off
Hardened lava flow. It's located outside of
the upper, the stud down, but then you're going to have
Why does NASA want to conduct
marks
science?
on there, and,
Well, on
and
Earth,
you're going to be able to
there
tell
is
that
no
there's something there.
light
So,
significant
and I don't like
light
modifying
plate
pieces,
tectonics to form.
especially
Without
if
these key elements on
I'm
the
building
moon,
for
lunar
other
scientists
people.
have been left to wonder how the domes formed and evolved over time. We'll, of course, have coverage of the landing on our NASA Plus app or whichever social platform you watch us on. Now, earlier in the show, we told you about the Nervous payload from NASA's Ames Research Center. The other payload from Ames
That's
is the
that. And this is
Neutron
our,
system, or
this is what I want to go with.
I'm Rick Elphick. I'm the principal investigator
So,
of the neutron spectrometer system aboard the Peregrine 1 lander.
Essentially, we got an 8 round
ISS measures neutrons
and a
coming out of the
9.5 round.
And the neutrons tell you a lot about the makeup.
So, but it will work for what I needed. So that's going to be my diameter,
related to the presence
pretty much
of
up the entire rocket.
in H2O or water. And that's its main purpose is to locate water, to actually act as a divining rod. Peregrine will be landing in a location where we really don't expect very much water.
And this is what
But it's an
the
interesting
booster's size would be built. It would be under a 2.8
with its exhaust.
diameter,
Part of that
8
exhaust
stud
is water,
diameter.
and some of that water is actually going to
So
stick
unfortunately,
to the surface of the moon.
that
Then after we land, NSS can monitor how that water goes away as the sun rises at the landing site and the day gets warmer and warmer. Water is really important as a resource.
that is in between that,
Astronauts
more
need
to a
water.
3
You
round,
can also use it by splitting it up into hydrogen
like
and
that.
oxygen as rocket fuel. So if you can find water in place where you're going to, that means you can use it there and not have to bring it up from Earth.
Now, NASA has 2 more payloads flying to the moon today. We're going to tell you about both of them in just a few minutes. But first, let's introduce you all to Chris Culbert, Program Manager for CLIPS out of NASA's Johnson Space Center. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Megan. Thank you. It's a wonderful day.
It is. We just watched the launch. What did you think?
It was amazing. Oh, my God. What a wonderful feeling. That rocket was...
So for
Yeah, and so NASA has 5 payloads hitching a ride. You know, tell me about
the diameter, I think I'm just going to go with the 3 long or 3 wide. I know it's a little bit bigger, not exact, and the main body is actually a little bit smaller. They're a bit mismatched, but when you're talking cylinder design or something really small like this, I mean, there are several
what the moon is like, what the radiation does,
different ways you can go about it.
particles and dust and other
One of
things.
them I
We're
seen
trying to get more
uses,
information about that
brick
so that we
round,
can help guide future human missions more
modified.
effectively.
And how
A
soon
lot of
will
them
we see
at
data
that
from some of
size
those
actually
so that we
uses
can
the
start
modified
creating that fuller picture?
one by
We're
one
getting
with all
data
four
back within
studs.
hours of landing on the
And
moon. Now, the scientists will need some time to analyze that information and turn it into the kind of information that helps guide
copy,
future missions.
paste.
But we should be getting data
do
back from the moon
something.
within a few hours of landing, and we'll all three for as long as 14
The
days
jumper.
on the moon. We'll be
Honestly,
tracking
it's
that
been
data.
so long
But
since
the
I even
scientists will
seen
then
it.
take that information offline and analyze it for a while.
So basically,
I think they
these
just do
missions,
this,
these
yeah.
instruments that we're sending, they're scouting the moon for us.
Yes, yeah, they're telling us what the moon is like, helping us understand what we need to know so that we can take humans there safely. It also allows us to better design future instruments and other experiments that will pinpoint the kinds of things we need to know about.
Can't remember
Moon
exactly
so we
how
work and live there.
Chris, thank you so much
Something
for being
similar
here.
to this.
Okay, so we're now less than a few minutes away until the Peregrine spacecraft separates from Vulcan Centaur.
I've seen people do it, use this, they don't mind a little bit of a gap.
On Peregrine from Olivia.
You're going to do something round, it needs to be round.
Thanks, Megan. And now I'm checking in on Astrobotic's mission control team. In about 20 to 30 minutes, they're expecting Peregrine to power on and then try to communicate with them on the ground. Peregrine will establish ground communications with NASA's Deep Space Network. And then we will begin
there's the round. This is what I've seen people use
Here's an in-depth look at the inner workings
for
of the
round
Peregrine
diameter.
lunar lander.
And now we'll take a look at the Peregrine spacecraft.
So they just said ULA or Astrobotic said they just are getting ready to start powering the Peregrine lander up.
Temperatures, pressures, power levels, and communication systems.
And it's going to be another 30
At the top of
minutes
Peregrine charge its batteries
before
to power
they
the spacecraft. Moving down towards the center of the spacecraft are the payload decks. You'll notice the decks have a unique isogrid pattern that we've used as an inspiration for
stage
a lot of our graphic
separation.
design for the mission. This structure pattern optimizes the sturdiness of the payload decks while also minimizing its weight. Affixed to these decks are all 20 payloads. 20 individual pieces of cargo from 7 different countries are aboard these two
We're gonna do
main
that.
decks. Peregrine has 12 attitude control system engines called thrusters that are used to orient the spacecraft.
This is the
You can
unique
see
thing
4 large
about
propellant tanks filled with monomethyl hydrazine and multiple mixtures of oxygen, nitrogen,
this rocket
argon,
is
and
that they got
electrolyzer.
different
Mounted to the bottom of the
stage
spacecraft are 5 main engines that will
stagings.
slow
They
the
got
craft
different
down to the
sizes.
lunar surface. These engines use a hypergolic bipropellant pressure-fed system.
Each one of them can
Believe
change
it or not,
how much weight
Peregrine will use the
goes.
majority of its fuel in the
space.
last 15 minutes of the mission as we attempt a soft landing on the lunar surface. Peregrine has 4 landing legs attached to its base. These legs have a honeycomb
We're
structure
just
on
gonna
the
go
inside that will crush
a little
to
bit
absorb
bigger.
the impact of Peregrine landing on the lunar surface. Peregrine is designed for an autonomous landing. That means it will use complex computing and a suite of sensors instead of human
smaller.
pilots.
Yeah.
There are 2
But
antenna
it'll all
relays
look
and a high-power
pretty-
transponder
I
to
think it
relay
will look pretty
communications
good.
between the spacecraft and the Astrobotic team. The relay will connect Peregrine with NASA's Deep Space Network, or DSN, utilizing the same dishes that communicate with the James Webb Space Telescope, as well as other historic missions.
And the last major feature of Peregrine is something you can't see. It's the hundreds of people who have worked on, tested, and gotten the spacecraft to the launch pad today. A shout out to the team we like calling the Astrobots, and a shout out to our payload customers who are sending their items to the moon with us. Your continued commitment to science and lunar exploration is important for humanity. The Peregrine lunar lander has 20 pieces of cargo called payloads aboard. You can find the full manifest on Astrobotic's website, but here is a look at a few of the payloads. IRIS rover. This is a student-built rover with a mission to take photos and send them back to Earth as it drives across the lunar landscape. Once Peregrine lands on the moon, IRIS will deploy to the surface to begin its mission. And here we have another Carnegie Mellon University payload called Moonark. Moonark is seen as a cultural museum to the moon. Comprised of 4 independent chambers and weighing a combined total of 10 ounces, it contained hundreds of images, poems, music, nano-objects, and earthly samples. Next, we have Colmena, a fleet of micro-rovers and the first Latin American scientific instrument ever sent to the moon. Consisting of 5 small rovers, it will demonstrate a coordinated moon exploration. Lastly, we have the DHL Moonbox. Former astronaut Richard Garriott and thousands of others from around the world have sent small mementos to link life's meaningful moments with our nearest celestial neighbor.
That, in a nutshell, is
Now, this is just a snippet
what
of the 20
I'm looking
payloads aboard
for
Peregrine.
as
Again,
far
you
as
can find a
going
full
with
list on Astrobotics' website. Now back to Megan.
forward with this. I haven't
We are
even
now
gotten
less than 10 minutes
into
away from Peregrine separation, so let's get back over to the ULA
adding a
team and
reference
Amanda
photo.
Sterling to take us through that.
Thanks, Megan, and thanks to those of you who are still following mission progress of ULA's Vulcan Cert-1 flight. For those who are just tuning in, I'm Amanda Sterling.
Essentially,
I'm
this
here
is
at ULA's
this
Advanced
right here.
Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in
Am I going to
Florida.
do that?
ULA's
If I
inaugural
do,
rocket lifted off on
I'm
its
probably
first
going
flight
to I'm going to
test
have to do it
at
because that's
18:38 a.m.
part of
Eastern,
the
and all systems continue to operate
part of the
nominally.
whole deal with the Vulcan Centaur is that paint scheme.
1 minute, 1 second burn.
But for right now, I'm just going to build it in a one color, and then because I like crisp, clean lines going through all this. So like how my base color is probably going to be this light bluish gray. Then I'm going to create stickers or a print using the photo editing, come up with on how to get the color into this.
Coming up on LH2 pre-start.
Up.
LH2 pre-start.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 43 minutes, 8 seconds. Coming up next is the second main engine start of ULA's Centaur upper stage. Let's listen in.
Change to the start position, everything looking good.
This is the second engine start.
About 15 seconds to mess. We have ignition, full thrust, 2 good engines. Everything looking good.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 43 minutes, 57 seconds. As we approach Peregrine separation, let's learn more about
It
the
did one of
first
those.
spacecraft to launch in NASA's new CLIPS initiative to have American companies send its science experiments to the moon.
Astrobotic is a full-service lunar company. It starts with our terrestrial testing and development services that can build propulsion systems and test propulsion systems on Earth, to the sensors that make precision landing possible, to our rovers that will deploy down on the surface of the moon, to one day our power systems that will deploy on the moon and provide sustaining power for the infrastructure on the surface.
We don't need
Astrobotics
those
is in all of those businesses, and we are in the business of making space accessible to the world, and the moon is just the beginning. The big thing that we're known for is our 2
is what
lunar
we're gonna
missions
go
to go to
after.
the surface of the
Just
moon.
two.
Our first
Just
one is
for
about
this
to launch, and
launch.
our second one flies in 2024.
Now, what I need
Peregrine mission is
need
important
to
because it's among the first commercial missions to
bring
return
in
to the
some
surface
other
of the moon.
photos.
This is the first time as a nation going back since Apollo. It's the first time for 6 nations that could land on the surface of the moon with our mission. This is the dawn of a new era of affordable, routine, regular access to the surface. What that means is our nations and world scientists
did
can
not.
access the moon on a routine, regular basis. They don't have to wait for the culmination of their career for one single super mission. They can go back again and again and again. It's the beginnings of learning about the resources on the surface of the moon, and potentially one day turning those resources into something that we can use in space, and maybe one day return back here to Earth.
Peregrine's development was a years-long process that included many people, like engineers, welders, and technicians, who designed and built the spacecraft. Landing a spacecraft on the moon is very complex. The team worked long hours to get Peregrine to the launch pad.
To be on the pad today with our spacecraft strapped to a giant 200-foot tall launch vehicle ready to blast into the heavens It's a little surreal. It's a moment I've been dreaming about for 16 years. And to see it all on one rocket, it's terrifying and exciting and thrilling all at once. Our Peregrine lunar lander starts its journey to the moon in Florida on a Vulcan launch vehicle. That will blast us into translunar injection, heading us straight out to the moon, where we will enter lunar orbit and start our descent down to the surface. At this point, engines are firing, all eyes are tuned in, and as we soft touch down on the surface of the moon, that marks the beginning of our surface operations and our payloads flight. As a nation and as a company, as individuals, we all persevere to overcome challenges, and we're going to continue to do that. And this first mission is just our first step, our first attempt to make space accessible to the world, and it certainly will not be our last.
Pressures.
Still going.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 47 minutes 8 seconds. We're a few seconds from the second main engine cutoff. Here's Rob Gannon.
30 seconds to nominal MECO. Twenty seconds. We're going to open loop on PU. Coming up on cutoff. We have cutoff. Everything is looking good. And we are now in a 2-minute 49-second coast phase of spacecraft separation.
Ooh, okay.
Got
switch back over. We got 2 minutes
after MECO. And we're reorienting to spacecraft SUP attitude.
I'm getting my brownie ready.
And continue to maneuver to our MES-2 attitude. And we're inside a minute and a half to spacecraft separation. Body rates are nulling out. And this mission does call for a roll spin for spacecraft separation of 0.5 degree per second. We'll be starting that maneuver shortly.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 50 minutes 10 seconds. Vulcan has executed all mission events expected, and we are now approaching delivery of the Astrobotic Peregrine commercial lunar lander into a highly elliptical orbit, more than 220,000 miles above Earth, to intercept the moon. Let's return to flight commentator Rob Gannon as we approach separation.
We are spinning down. And we are now in a 28-minute coast period, the third burn of Centaur.
All right.
This is Vulcan Mission Control at T plus 51 minutes 6 seconds. We just heard confirmation of Peregrine spacecraft separation. I'm now back with ULA President and CEO Tori Bruno. Tori, our first Vulcan rocket just delivered its first payload to orbit. How are you feeling?
Yeehaw! I am so
I would be
thrilled.
too.
I can't tell you how much.
On that
Absolutely.
note,
And again, we're not completely done with the mission here today. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
I am so proud of this team. Oh my.
Turn to mute the volume there. On that note, I know it's not much. I wasn't expecting to get much done with this at all. Just something to do to kill the time as we watch a launch. But I am gonna save this and we'll come back to it. Like I said, it was just to fill time, watch a launch, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Congratulations, Astrobotics. Congratulations, ULA. Very successful, and I think Blue Origin with their engines working as expected. I think they deserve a little bit of credit for that. Also, I'm happy to see that this flew and very little went wrong. But other than that, I wish everybody a good evening, good morning, and to all those who watched or still watching, I'm probably not going to be streaming anytime the rest of this week. Next week, I got some special stuff planned. Actual building getting ready for International Lego Day at Ross Park Mall here for our lug. We'll be displaying rockets, my rockets, what I've designed. Saturday, it's Saturday, January 27th and 28th. Saturday, not all my stuff is going to be up. I was limited to a very confined space, but Sunday, all my stuff should be out, visible. Everybody can see. I ended up getting 12-foot of table space Sunday, almost 12 foot, and versus what I got Saturday. I think I got literally 3 foot of space for table on Saturday. But thank you for all for stopping in, tuning in, and I will hopefully see you in the next stream. And if you don't mind, hit that like, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Have a good night.